Am I the a-hole for cutting off my daughter after she slept with her sister's husband? I, 59F, have two daughters, Emma, 35F, and Chloe, 33F. Emma has been married to her husband, 36M, for 11 years, and they have two children together. Chloe has been married to her husband, 34M, for 8 years, and they have one 5-year-old son. About 6 weeks ago, Emma called me just after midnight, completely hysterical. She told me she'd suspected for months that her husband was hiding something. He had become distant, constantly guarded his phone, and was always finding excuses to stay late at work. That night, after he fell asleep beside her, she looked through his phone for the first time. She found years' worth of explicit messages between him and Chloe. The affair had been going on for almost 4 years. Emma was devastated. She kept asking me how her own sister could do this to her. A few days later, we were at my brother's birthday party when Emma confronted Chloe outside. At first, Chloe denied everything and insisted Emma had misunderstood. When Emma told her she'd read the messages herself, Chloe completely broke down. She started crying, admitted to the affair, and kept repeating, "I don't know why I did it. I'm so sorry. It was the biggest mistake of my life." Emma asked how 4 years could possibly be a mistake. Chloe had no answer. The argument quickly escalated into a screaming match. Chloe tried to slap Emma, but several relatives stepped in before she could. After realizing what had happened, Chloe's husband quietly took their son home. Within days, he told Chloe he wanted a divorce. Emma also filed for divorce after her husband admitted everything. After the truth came out, Chloe called me 82 times in one day. I answered once because I hoped she was finally calling to explain herself. Instead, she cried the entire time, begging me not to abandon her. She said she'd already lost her husband, was probably going to lose shared custody of her son, and couldn't bear losing her mother too. She admitted she didn't deserve forgiveness but begged me not to hate her forever. I told her I couldn't look at her the same way anymore. I said this wasn't one bad decision. It was years of lying to her sister, her husband, and the rest of the family. I told her I loved her because she is my daughter, but I didn't want any contact with her for the foreseeable future. Since then, I've ignored every attempt she has made to reach out. This is where my family believes I'm wrong. My sisters say Chloe has already lost everything: her marriage, her relationship with her sister, many of her friends, and likely the family she dreamed of giving her son. They say she's genuinely remorseful, has started individual therapy, and isn't trying to justify what she did. They argue that if a mother won't stand by her child after they've hit rock bottom, then who will? They also remind me that by cutting Chloe off, my grandson is growing up without his grandmother, even though he's done nothing wrong. I understand all of that. But every time I think about welcoming Chloe back into my life, I picture Emma sitting alone in the middle of the night, reading those messages and realizing that 2 of the people she trusted most had been lying to her for years. I don't know if I can ever move past that. My family says I'm punishing Chloe forever for something she already deeply regrets. I feel like I'm simply refusing to pretend it never happened. I know a lot of people automatically assume cheating stories are fake, but what would you do if you were in my shoes? Final update. I know it's very early to post an update, and I wasn't planning to, but after reading the comments on my first post, I decided I needed one final conversation with Chloe before I completely closed the door. I went to her house yesterday. After she had called me 82 times in one day, I expected her to be emotional, but she was surprisingly calm. I asked her the one question I still couldn't understand: why? She admitted she'd been attracted to Emma's husband for years. She said what began as admiration eventually turned into romantic feelings, and over time they crossed a line. Instead of ending it, they kept convincing themselves that each time would be the last. She insisted she regretted everything. I asked if she had spoken to Emma. She told me the only contact she'd had was a single text message before Emma blocked her on everything. Emma told her that she had destroyed their family, taken away her children's stable home, and that she hoped the affair had been worth losing a sister forever because, as far as she was concerned, Chloe no longer had one. Then Emma blocked her immediately afterward. Chloe also admitted that she later waited outside the school gates, hoping to speak with Emma when she came to pick up the children. Emma refused to speak to her. She warned Chloe to stay away from both her and the children and told her that if she ever approached them again, she would regret it. Chloe left crying. I told Chloe that waiting outside the school was completely inappropriate, regardless of what her intentions were. She insisted she only wanted to apologize and prove that she still cared about Emma. I then asked whether she truly felt remorse. That's when I completely lost my patience. Instead of taking full responsibility, Chloe started telling me that Emma's marriage had already been falling apart. She claimed Emma and her husband had been drifting apart for years and that he had often confided in her. She admitted the affair was wrong but repeatedly tried to place part of the blame on Emma, saying that if their marriage had been happier, none of this would have happened. I was furious. I honestly couldn't believe I had raised someone capable of thinking that way. I told her there is no marriage bad enough to justify secretly sleeping with your own sister's husband for 4 years. I told her I wasn't just disappointed. I was ashamed that she was my daughter. The more she tried to justify herself, the angrier I became. Eventually, the conversation turned to her own divorce. She talked about how difficult everything had been for her and explained that her husband still planned to move to Washington with their son so they could be closer to his family. She said she might have to move there too if she wanted to remain close to her son. As she spoke, I realized that almost everything she talked about centered around what she had lost: her marriage, her home, her reputation, possibly seeing her son every day. Very little of what she said focused on Emma or the pain she had caused. At the end of our conversation, Chloe asked me if we were cool now. I told her no. We were not cool, and we might never be. I told her that if I ever found it in my heart to reconcile with her, it would happen on my terms and in my own time, not because she believed one conversation could erase 4 years of lies, betrayal, and devastation. I walked away feeling even angrier than when I had arrived. I honestly don't know what to do anymore. I love both of my daughters. But after that conversation, I'm no longer convinced that Chloe truly understands the pain she has caused.